I'm ready to share my story about how my female pastor kissed me.
I am all for warning the body of Christ, which is why I chose this particular video. Lindsey has a lot to say, so listen up. I want you to hear her whole story. You already know what to do in order to support this channel. You already know what to do in order to support my business. What I am going to ask you to do is pay close attention to what she has to say because her story is very, very interesting. And you too could save somebody's life from being in a cult or sitting under the wrong ministry.
So, when I first joined, the first day I joined, I was told that God was making me her personal armor bearer. And I accepted it. I did cry. I remember getting off the phone and crying because I didn't know what an armor bearer was outside of the story of Saul and David. Now, over the course of the 10 years that I was there, I tried to leave that position twice. I wrote a letter of resignation once, and then there was another situation where I was to be brought before the elders, and I wrote in my journal, God, I really don't care. I don't want to be an armor bearer anymore. The what started off just as prayer and fasting and just assisting and armor bearing during ministerial events turned into pure slavery. When I tell you to this day, I can tell you where the scars and the markings on her naked body is. That's how often I watched this woman naked, having to lotion her back, put socks on her feet, pick out her underclothes, pick out her outfit for the day while she's in the shower, handing her her toothbrush, um, tucking her in bed, massaging her feet. These are all things that were responsibilities for her main armor bearers. It grew into the place where I was grocery shopping, I was meal prepping, I was cooking for this woman. I was then bringing the food to her house, fixing her plate, bringing the plate up to her while she's laying in bed. This woman stayed laying in the bed for months, for years, waiting until she finished eating, handing her her vitamins, which were literally a hand reach over from her, giving her her vitamins, giving her her water, taking her plate down, washing the dishes, making sure that the kitchen was cleaned. There was an armor bearer who was assigned by God to be her personal nurse. This woman at one point was living in a whole different state 4 hours away, was still required to drive all the way up to where the witch leader was and drive her to her doctor's appointments when this woman had a full working and operable car, not disabled, no medical conditions preventing her from driving herself. I was in charge of all of her businesses at one point, to the point where everything I created, the websites, formatted the AI generated books, did the social media, the videos, like I was running everything. There was another armor bearer who lived with her. And it, like, when the woman was in a relationship, we had to cook also for this man. We had to bring his food up to him. We had to wash this man's dirty clothes. And we dare not say something to him when he didn't clean up after himself or something, because we would get rebuked for that. We would have to pack this woman's suitcases everywhere she went. Like, she couldn't pack jack for herself. And we would have to load the car, drive her to wherever she was going, take her suitcases in, unpack, clean the place, make up her bed. And when she got out the bed, make up her bed. It was just like she was this woman who couldn't do anything for herself. In fact, there was a few times where we would be on FaceTime calls with this woman or just phone conference calls being rebuked, saying that I remember I was in the parking lot of Acme and we had a message come through stating that God was going to show us better than he can tell us because we weren't taking care of his prophet the way that we were supposed to be taking care of this prophet. I mean, there was a time where because all of her main armor bearers were required to not only have their location on 24/7 for her to watch us, but we were also required to have her on emergency bypass. I was going to, who is now my ex fiance, I was going to go visit him. We had planned a time together. This woman calls me on FaceTime. She's laying in her bed in her bonnet and one of her wife beaters in the bed. And she said, "How are you going to go see him? And you haven't even made sure that I have food in my refrigerator to eat." And I don't even think I mentioned this. Her main armor bearers outside of the one who was married were all living in the same house together, down the street, 7 minutes away from this woman's house. And it became the armor bearer house. I couldn't even have, like, my personal time was interrupted several times and it was just like ridiculous. And people started calling it the AB house. And I was like, this is my personal house. I'm getting knocks on my door frame because I didn't have a door. I was living in the living room. I was getting knocks on my door frame. It's time to pray. Your leader's trying to call you. And did you get my text message? It was just like horrible.
Since I've started doing Christian content, take a deep breath. Okay. I found out so many different things and heard so many stories and been emailed and DM'd, and all I can do is inform other people and pray and continue to inform. But when I tell you some of the stuff that I have heard has been so gut-wrenching, heartbreaking, when I hear things like this, it's really sad. And when I tell people that it's not always the person's fault, there are so many people out here who are, unfortunately, easily to be manipulated.
I'm ready to share my story about how my female pastor kissed me. And I pray that this sheds light on a very deep and dark issue that is happening in a lot of churches. So back in 2025, last year, I had broke up with my ex-fiance. And I think it was May when I broke up with him. And I broke up with him not because I wasn't in love or not because of him per se. It was just our relationship was just berated by this woman. This leader told us we were supposed to be together. And ironically, we actually fell in love and we were happy. We were the happiest couple there. We were always laughing, always joking. But just the constant, like, berating and verbal abuse and emotional abuse and mental abuse from this woman. She just berated us, constantly compared us, brought us down, talked bad about us, embarrassed us. And he got to a place where he stopped coming around. And so our relationship began to suffer. And I couldn't do it anymore. And he was tired. I was tired. And to God be the glory, the breakup actually saved us. So we bless God for that. So I break up with him and I fall into a depression. I fall into a deep depression. I'm sad because um, I was I was going through a lot. I was running this woman's businesses. She had around 15 different businesses. I mean, this leader was saying, God says start this, God says start that, God said do this, God said do that. And I became the one who had to run it all. And whenever I said to this woman, hey, I have a lot on my plate, I can't do it, can't somebody else do it? She was like, no, I'll just do it myself then. And just all this pathetic manipulation. And it was just like, it was grotesque. And it was a lot. And I wasn't reading my Bible. So I believed for over 10 years that this was God telling me to serve this woman as an armor bearer. And it was a lie.
I want to stop it because I want to make sure that you heard her. She said she wasn't in her Bible. When I get on this here app and create a video, Most of my videos are saying read your Bible, build a relationship with the Lord, get the context for yourself, because this is how you avoid stuff like this. I want to make sure that nobody misunderstood me when I said that some people are neurodivergent. I'm not talking about her. I'm not saying that she didn't use her common sense. I'm going to go with what she said. She was not in her Bible, so she did not know the word for herself. That's why this woman was able to get over on her.
But I get to a place now where I just want to do what I thought I was supposed to do for God and go home and go to bed. And I just became like a robot. I just became numb and I became agreeable to this woman for the first time in over 9 years. I just fully submitted to the woman because prior to that, that woman and I went head to head about almost all the time because she would do things that I saw that were wrong. She would say things that I felt were wrong. I saw the way she treated people. And over the years, whenever I would say something or what have you, it was always, oh, you're prideful, the devil's using you. And the mental warfare, the emotional warfare was just crazy, man. And I noticed coming out of that, thank God for deliverance, that the devil used this woman to break down people, to get them to fully submit to her. And so now it's, I would say, August 2025. I'm just I'm just agreeable now. Why? Because I didn't want to hear her mouth. I didn't want to go through any extra arguments. I just wanted to do my job and go to bed. That's literally what I became. And so one day, the leader calls me over to her house for some reason. I had, as an armor bearer, whenever she called, we had to go running. So I'm over at her house. She gets out of the bed. All her lights are turned out. It's dark in her room. The curtains have not been opened yet, or yeah, the curtains hadn't been opened yet. And but there's enough light in the room, like from the day that's in there. And she's talking to me. And to be honest, I got to a place with the woman that I would hear, I just wouldn't listen. She was talking. I don't even know what she was talking about. But she got out the bed and I went to go make up her bed because as armor bearers, we were required when she got out of bed to make her bed up for her, unless the rare occasion that she got the strength to make it up herself. And she's wearing a hooded robe. I can't remember which one. I can't remember if it was the gray one. It wasn't the cheetah one. Um, because I remember all her clothes. And she's talking to me. And she's like, oh, you're my baby, you're my daughter, and this or that. And she's like, talking to me like a little girl. And she walks up to me. She's walking up to me and she puts her hand like this on my face. And she comes close to me. And first she kisses me on my forehead. And then she kisses me on my cheeks. Or she kisses me on my cheeks and my forehead. I forget which started which, but I remember the forehead and my cheeks. And then she pauses for a second and then she comes and she kisses me slowly twice on my lips. And in that moment, I didn't know what to feel. You know, it's like I panicked on the inside because I'm like, what just happened? Like like what just happened? And she goes to, she's like, my grandmother, she used to do that to me. You're my daughter. Mothers do that to daughters. And she was my spiritual mother. I remember feeling like I couldn't process what just happened. I played it off with her because I was like, oh yeah, 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 of course, yeah. But inside I was panicking because I was like, wait, what just happened here? Like what just happened? And I had never had a female kiss me in my life. Never. And the only two people who had ever kissed me was my ex-fiance and a situationship back when I was younger. But apart from that, I had never had that before. And I felt dirty and I felt grotesque and I felt like I really need to seek Jesus. I really need to ask God to help me to come into my life, because what is my life becoming?
I want to make sure that I give credit where credit is due. So if you want to hear more about this young lady's testimony, you can go over to her YouTube channel right here and listen to more of her stories. Subscribe to her channel, leave your comments and questions, because she's more than willing to answer them. I'm going to drop some scripture in the description below for us to apply to what this woman is going through, and so that you can share it with somebody else in case they're going through the same things. Now, let me know what you think about this whole story in the comment section below, because that's what I'm here for.